All right, folks, we're back with the Malzberg panel, and we're going to have them for two segments. I'm happy to say Democratic strategist, Newsmax analyst, and president of Sheinkopf Communications, the one and only Hank Sheinkopf, and Newsmax contributor and host of the great The Right Side, which is seen on Newsmax TV. Armstrong Williams is with us, ladies and gentlemen. And let me start with you, Armstrong. Today we heard Charlie Rangel say that some Republicans think that slavery is still around. We heard one congressional candidate who's African-American referred to a Republican Senate candidate as an Uncle Tom. We heard a gubernatorial candidate running against Nikki Haley call her a whore. What the heck is going on here with the Democrats? Is this all desperation?
Well, you would be desperate, too, if you were looking at the numbers privately and publicly. You would pull out all measures, look at what they're doing in the Georgia race. They're resurrecting Ferguson again, saying that if black people don't get out, they're going to be having Ferguson in Georgia because they know for a fact they need over 30% of the black vote in order for them to win that seat. And, you know, look, man, politics is a dirty, nasty, vicious, unprincipled game. It's what people do in desperation to win. But the good news is people can see through this veneer. They can see through their lies and the deceit. You've been seeing the videos where a lot of American blacks say, why am I going out to the polls to vote for President Obama? What has he done for me? I can tell you what he's done for the lobbyists. I can tell you what he's done for the LGBT. I can tell what he's done for the unions, but what has he done for me? We give him my enthusiasm. We go out to the polls overwhelmingly, and what do we have to show for it? I'm staying home. Yeah, they have a right to be outraged, and these tactics are not going to work. It's going to further alienate them from the voters and for them to show what they really are.
Hank, I think the first question to you should be, in such a dirty, disgusting, slimy game, as is rightfully described by Armstrong, how come you're so clean cut and wonderful and funny and charming?
It was either get this job or go to work for the sanitation department, and I thought I'd stay in this one. At least the muck was clear, you know.
But what do you think about? Is it the desperation that we're seeing coming out with all these the race card?
You had a Republican candidate for Congress last week referred to a sitting member of Congress, a woman, as a drunk. What's new? It is on both sides. If you look at the history of American politics for a moment, you want to think about dirty campaigns. What Thomas Jefferson did to Alexander Hamilton is beyond explanation, publishing books and under phony names, attacking him and saying who knows what. You go back to the beginnings of the country, you know, and if you look at the campaign against Abraham Lincoln in 1860, it was really quite outrageous what the other side did. I mean, they referred to him as an ape. Newspapers across the country attacked him viciously. Al Smith, the Catholic Democrat from New York running for president in 1928, was pilloried and tarred on the front pages of newspapers because they said that he would bring the papacy into American government. Anti-Catholicism, nonsensical. So both sides have done their bit. This is particularly disgusting. It reminds me in many ways of the race baiting that occurred in the 1968 campaign by Richard Nixon, which is pretty clear. Negative campaigning is American politics, and American politics, frankly, thrives on negative campaigning. And one other thing, both sides are addicted to race like crack. They can't help themselves.
Well, I know what you mean. They're both addicted to
both sides.
race.
They're both addicted to race issues. Ferguson becomes one.
Yeah, but this is all Democrats. Where's the Republican race issues?
You want to go back to 1960?
No,
you want to go back to the history of Republic?
No, I want to stay
I can go back.
But I don't want to go back. I want to stay here.
This is only part of what goes on, and it's on the spectrum of things. Both parties have been guilty of these kinds of behaviors. What is occurring now is we've reached a new nadir in American politics because there's nothing to talk about, you see? No one's talking about issues. They're talking about horse races, and they're talking about who's ahead, and they're doing anything to maintain that status. They're not talking about issue-based arguments at all.
Armstrong, I mean, with all due respect to Hank, you know, in this day and age, as we like to say with the Islamic fundamentalism, when we talk about which religion is, you know, causing trouble, it's only the Democrats that are playing the race card.
Well, look.
I mean, today. Wait. Hank says not true. So Hank,
I gave you an example.
Yeah, but I'm talking about today.
You know what? Let me just mention this. Look, let us just say we agree with what Hank is saying to a certain extent. They've played it in the past. Look, you got to admire Rand Paul for how he's playing the race cards, because he's playing it in a way where he's getting standing ovations in Ferguson, where he's getting a lot of kudos from black intellectuals and elected officials, because for one of the few times from Republicans, he's very sincere and realizing the importance of that vote, and we can no longer shun it. We've got to embrace it and let it know that there's a strong two-party system here. You don't have to stay on this so-called plantation called the Democratic Party. There are opportunities in the Republican Party we'll learn, and you're welcome. And I'm going to go out and pursue this vote. I don't care how many GOP insiders laugh at me and think I'm wasting my time. It's time worth wasting. So if you're talking about Hank and that perspective, I agree with you. we should admire what Rand Paul is doing, and more Republicans should do the same.
I think that it is a disgrace of the American political system that the best we can do, 200 and let's see, now 1789 we had the Constitution, so 260, almost 260, no less than 230 years almost after the documents released, we're behaving like children in a sandbox and unable to resolve any of our issues by having a real discussion. What is disgraceful is the kind of email that's going out to people. I get all that Democratic stuff telling me what the Republicans will do as if they were going to come, slit people's throats, and run through the streets murdering them as ISIS is doing. It's all nuts, and there's something wrong with it. I still see in front of me, working in the South, I guess it was 90, the Jesse Helms Black Hands, White Hands commercial with the guy throwing away the resume and complaining about affirmative action. We have a history of doing things that are despicable in American politics, but we have reached, and I think Steve's right about this, the nadir right now. And electronic campaigning, both on the web and on the internet generally, and email, has made that even worse, and we don't see that.
And by the way, no relation to Ralph Nader, just to make that
thank you very much.
clear.
Well,
yeah, just wanted to
he spelled it NDQXYBGZM.
All right, we're coming back, folks. Armstrong Williams and Hank Sheinkopf will join us. We'll look at a couple of races and talk about Chris Christie as well and his latest blow-up. But first, let's check in on the Michigan Senate race with our Road to the Midterms update.
If the Republicans fall short in their attempt to win back the Senate, chances are the party will be looking for a scapegoat. That just might be Terry Lynn Land. The former Michigan Secretary of State is floundering on the campaign trail. Critics told ABC News Land is under fire for not letting people know where her campaign events will be and for dodging the press. She's uncomfortable with the questions. They also say she's tanked during several recent media appearances. Land is challenging Democratic Representative Gary Peters. They're both after the blue seat Senator Carl Levin is vacating this year. Right now, the polls are favoring Peters. In fact, one put him 11 points ahead of Land. However, Peters just can't seem to climb past that 50% mark needed to lock this race up. Right now, there are just too many undecided voters. Some political analysts say there's still a chance Land could win based wholly on the fact that she's a Republican. Though it's a close race, Michigan's Republican governor is expected to be reelected, and Land just might get a vote from those who go straight down the party line.